BYLP is building a student media program. Do you have a face for the camera? A voice that stands out? A knack for writing? Do you like to create content on your phone? Can you adjust to a fast-paced environment? If you answered yes to any of these questions, here's your chance to show us what you got. BYLP is looking to fill its media program with student talent both on and off camera. Producers, directors, editors, and writers to tell their own stories their way. Go to bylp.org to apply. Students who complete the program may be eligible for a stipend. For more information, go to bylp.org.
Baby.
We in here, yeah, we in here, 'cause we been.
Y'all better get comfortable with saying black.
We in here, yeah, we in here,
Black versus the Board of Education.
'cause we came here, rid of us now. We in here, yeah, we in here, 'cause we came here, rid of us now. And you know, and we know, and we go, because we been here.
That's why we are indeed a whole mood.
That's it.
Well, we're certainly a whole mood, and it is another Monday right here on Black versus the Board of Education. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Miss Laureen, and I will be your host for the day, as usual. But before we get started, you know, we always have to kick it to the crew so that you know who's in the building as well. So let me start with Jada. You're up.
Hey y'all, my name is Jada. I'm a 17-year-old homeschooled senior, class of 2023. Woo woo! And I'm so glad to be back.
Wonderful. Miss Anaya.
Hey everyone, my name is Anaya, and I'm also a senior in high school.
Wonderful. Jalen, say hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey.
You sound like Fat Albert.
That's what I thought of. My name is Jalen. I am a college student at San Francisco State right now. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Samuel. Say hey.
Oh, sorry. I was just trying to mute myself. Hello, my name is Samuel. I'm in 6th grade. I'm 11, about to be 12 in 4 days on Friday.
Nice. All right. Miss Melissa, it's on you.
Hi everyone, my name is Melissa, and I am a junior in Southern California.
Well, welcome back. I'm so excited that you all are here. And, you know, we wouldn't be Black versus the Board of Education unless we had a chance to really connect with people and we highlight some stories that are going on. Y'all can hear me okay? Yes? Yes? Oh, awesome. All right. So today we're dealing with violence on school campuses. And I know a lot of times, I don't know if you know it, but there are multiple schools around our area having difficulty trying to manage the frustration we are seeing with our young people. There are some decisions being made that have really caused some sort of issue with the faculty and how they respond to things. I don't know if it's a lack of training. I don't know. I really don't know what it is, but we're going to discuss that today and try to figure out a way forward. I know we talked about this last time, right? We were talking about what happened here in town at Monterey Trail High School. And, you know, I don't think that we can have that story in context without the person kind of at the center of it. And so we will get to him in a moment. I know he is waiting backstage. We'll get to him in a moment because I think that in order to really understand what it is that we see, because a lot of times we see little bite-sized pieces on social media, yes, or in the news, and everybody covers it from whatever angle they want to cover it from. But I think it's important, and y'all keep putting them on and taking them off, and I'm not sure what that is, but we'll let him introduce himself and we'll come back to him after we play just a little clip. So if you could pull KJ back up. Welcome to Black versus the Board of Education. We are so excited to have you here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hello, my name is Kwame. Some people call me KJ, family members, all that. I'm 15, and right now I just started going to my new high school. So
Okay.
just trying to get back into, the normal schedule of going to school and everything. And yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang out with us. I know that you would probably rather be anywhere but here. So I'm really excited that you slid through, because I think that in order to have things in context, because when your incident happened, there were a lot of adults kind of online, and they were assuming what something was. And I want to give you the opportunity to kind of set that record straight. But we do have a news clip that I want to go to, just so we can have some context for those who may not know that we're talking about. We are not going to show the video in its entirety. I believe this is a clip of your father talking about the incident. So if we can go to that clip, we'll come right back and we'll get into the discussion.
Yeah, he is at home under concussion protocol, being monitored by his doctors, but he's scared to go back to school after he was hit twice in the head with a fire extinguisher, then kicked while he lay on the ground unconscious.
You had no sense of consequence.
A message from a father to his son's classmates. The what ifs of an attack at school, he says, run through his mind.
When my son was knocked unconscious on the ground, and then you take the thing and hit him in the face, and then with the extended video I've seen, he also got kicked in his face also. You know what I'm saying? This is stuff that my son doesn't even remember.
Kwame Curry Sr. is next to his son, KJ, in this photo. He said Kwame Jr. could have died, and he's lucky. Concerns over his neck and a concussion were the worst of it. All over what he says, a pair of shoes.
As the guy was trying to get my son for his shoes, his Jordans. And he said, and my son confronted him and checked him about this.
Curry said after the earlier confrontation, the two boys had PE together without an issue until lunch.
But took a fire extinguisher, concealed it in his bag, and then had one of his friends recording the whole time. And then one of the kids was like, I know where KJ is at and stuff, and they proceeded to go where he was at.
We won't show the video. It's too graphic. This screenshot shows the extinguisher in the student's hands. Curry has seen his son's attack online and is left with questions about how it was handled. He said he never got a phone call.
Do you feel safe sending your son back to school there?
No.
Now, I did talk to a district spokesperson, and they said that at least one parent of that student was contacted immediately after the event. The student suspect is in juvenile detention and won't face a judge for a few days. There is a crisis response team on this campus over the next few days as well. Is it enough, though? We dig into what's happening on school campuses at 5.
Leave me alone. Sorry about that, y'all. I'm getting directions and I whatever. Anyway, so I want to, because that was a lot to take in for folks who don't know what happened to you. I kind of want to go back because I heard a couple of things in the video that I kind of want to clear up for the peanut gallery who have a whole lot to say about what transpired that day. I've heard you referred to as a bully. So can we start earlier that day? What was that day like for you?
At first, I just expected to go to school, do all my schoolwork, and then just go back home and have to do the stuff that I have to do at home and everything. But even when I was sitting down and saw him approach me as I was, playing a game on my phone, I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going to happen. So, just seeing somebody reaching in front of you and you feel them touching your shoes or just reaching in front of you and not, you really don't know what's happening. And then you see other people that's around already with their phones out recording and everything. So of course, I got up and we had an entire argument, and then, I took myself out of the situation by grabbing my bag and walking away. But, of course, some people don't let stuff go. I thought the situation was over, which is why I continue to go on with my day. So.
Mm-hmm. And so when you say that there were people already recording, what was going through your mind as you're being recorded? What was happening? You know, what were you thinking?
At first, I was thinking like, you know, well, most people, like when people are already recording something, is people finna get ready to fight or anything. So, I didn't know what he was walking up on me to do. So
Okay. And so you guys have been on school campuses, right? So when you see someone recording, what are you thinking when you see someone recording? And Jalen, I see you trying to grab your microphone, so I'm gonna go to you first.
So when I see recording, I think just like KJ said, a fight is going to happen or somebody's trying to do a viral challenge. That because like we talked about on episode 1, cloud is the main form of currency nowadays. So everybody's looking for the next big thing. How am I going to get famous? And on school campuses, fights make you famous or doing dumb stuff.
Jada?
I know personally when I see like a camera being pulled out, I think of like a pre-planned kind of thing. Like, sometimes it'll be a camera, like there'll be 5 cameras and 5 people in a circle, like looking around, waiting for like the big moment to happen. So I'm kind of just like, what's about to happen? Like I'm thinking there's going to be a fight because every time there's a camera, there's a fight. You see, it starts with one person, then it starts with a group of people, then a group of people start walking, everybody starts running, and I'm just like, why is everybody running? So
Do you run?
No, I don't run.
Oh yeah, you the only one that see somebody running, don't run. Okay. All right, Jada. Samuel. So when you're watching, because I believe that also is a clip that's been circulating online, where you guys are in a gym, correct, KJ? You guys are in a gym, and you do hear people kind of putting it on thick in the background. Sam, what were you thinking as you were watching that clip that's been circulating?
I didn't hear the audio because my mom showed it to me without the audio. But while I was thinking of it, I was just thinking like, what a just a horrific act. What puts you in the right headspace to just think I'm gonna hit somebody with the fire extinguisher? That's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about the incident, what transpired after the gym. Melissa, did you have and I know you were trying to protect your mental, and so you may not have watched it, but when you see students on campus with their cameras out, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, like what Jada said, that there's something pre-planned, like there's something someone else knows about, or like she said, like this group of people knows about that I don't know about. And I'm just trying to figure out what's happening, whether it's a fight, a physical fight, or an argument. Like I'm thinking something's pre-planned. Someone knows what's happening because why are cameras out? These people know about something that I don't know about. So I'm worried about like trying to figure out, is this a safe environment? What's about to happen that I don't know about?
And when you think about safety, Anaya, do you saw both videos, I'm assuming, or just one?
I saw the video in the gym and in the cafeteria.
Okay. So you heard, and you go to this particular school. So when you heard what was going on in the background, were you shocked at that they were trying to instigate, some sort of situation happening?
No, I wasn't shocked at all.
Why?
That's just the type of thing that kids do nowadays. Just instigate for fun, I guess.
Instigate for fun.
Yeah, it's become a trend to be like, me personally, I wouldn't take that level of disrespect.
It's just like entertaining for them. And even after I was told that he was hit with a fire extinguisher, and it was when I thought it was a fight, and he just was hit during them fighting on both sides. People who were around me was like, me personally, I would never let that happen to me. And I was like, you can't really
predict,
right? And you can't really control somebody
Yeah.
doing something like mentally unstable like that.
Okay. And so KJ, when you heard that they were trying to portray you as a bully, how did that make you feel, and was that accurate?
I mean, I didn't really like pay attention to what people were saying because, from my point of view, I know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I know the whole situation and everything. So just from people seeing videos and them just assuming that like it was a bullying action, which is why he did what he did. But I mean, honestly, as bad as it made me feel, I still didn't really care what people were talking about. Like I didn't really pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And so, and I had a chance to talk to you after the incident. But you guys, as you were looking on social media and you were seeing kind of the things that were being said, and thank God KJ didn't pay attention to it. But when they were describing it as a bullying situation, um, did you see it as bullying?
I know I didn't. And not even just social media. I went to a barber shop and I was hearing people talk about the situation, and people was like, "Oh yeah, you heard about what happened?" He's like, "Yeah, that kid bullied him. I mean, he deserved it." And then I had to really check people. I'm like, you guys are assuming from a video that you've seen that has no full context that one person's getting bullied, because people can edit videos to make anything look like it's anything. They probably, like, who knows what particularly happened in that situation in the thing, but you can't just go out there and throw people under the bus, especially without even knowing the full context of what even happened. So
Go ahead, Pat.
I also want to add on that like bullying is a series of events.
Right.
That one video couldn't have been, oh, this kid is getting bullied. And then once you hear the full story, even if he was being bullied, that's not an excuse. You don't
Right.
deserve to almost get killed over bullying somebody.
And I was just about to second that. It's like, okay, like, I believe he wasn't the bully, and I don't believe based off that one video that he was bullying. It seemed like he was just like, bro, like, go back to your stuff. Like, he was standing up for himself, and like, am I just supposed to let you take my shoes? Like, and I feel like even if he was being a bully, nobody deserves to get basically ambushed, because he never saw that coming. It wasn't like, oh, let's fist fight this. Like, like that would have at least been something more sensible. Like, fighting in general isn't sensible, but that would have been more than just like, let me almost commit murder. Like, that just seemed like that was huge.
Do you think bullying was used as an excuse, Melissa?
Absolutely. And there's always excuses used by the adults who are not doing their part in the situation, by even other kids who are not doing their parts as bystanders. The fact that people were standing there with their cameras out shows that that was just another excuse. If you really thought that someone was being bullied, why didn't you go say something instead of pulling your camera out? Why didn't you go try and stop the situation as best as you could? Why did you decide that recording was best for a bullying situation? If it is a situation where someone is being bullied, pulling your camera out is making you just as much a part of the situation and a part of the problem, because you're being a bystander and you're not doing anything to help the situation, meaning you're only making it worse.
Yeah, and the person with the cameraman with that whole altercation before the incident, I feel like should also have a place in this, because I feel like what made the situation worse was his instigating. His comments and his jokes and like all the camera angles he was trying to do, like this was a whole production. It was so unnecessary to me. It was annoying. I couldn't. It was super annoying.
Samuel.
What I also would say is that bullying was a scapegoat for the real issue. A student got assaulted and with a deadly weapon. Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. That's the official term. That's the crime. Official term. What I perceive it as. They're excusing that and scapegoating bullying as that catch-all term. What we should be really investigating and digging deep about is what led up to this. Why did this happen? And how can we prevent this from happening again?
Talk to him, Sam. And so, KJ, do you remember anything about being in that lunchroom?
The only part I really remembered was like walking in to get a spoon to eat my slushie. So that was really it. I mean, after that, it was like the only other part that I remember was really waking up and everything. So.
And when you woke up, what do you remember seeing?
Well, what I first remember seeing when I woke up was the firefighters like kind of bent over in front of me and everything, like checking on me and everything. And then after after I sat up and like went to go sit down, then that's when I saw my mom coming in and everything. And then after a few minutes later, that's when my dad and my brother came in. And then yeah, just
And
everybody getting there.
so am I to understand that you were hit in the head twice and they made you sit up?
Yeah.
Did they make you walk on your own too?
I kind of got up and like once they made me sit up and I kind of stood up, I just walked to go sit down.
And nobody told you to lay down anywhere and be still?
That could have been fatal. Nobody should be sitting up after getting knocked in the head. Like that could be a concussion. There could be internal bleeding. Like no, that who ran this safety protocol?
Or
Like
even like I feel like I'm not a trained medical professional, but I feel like you could have got paralyzed. Like that's your spinal cord. If you move, he could have been paralyzed because of his movement. So the fact that the people who were there, trained professionals there to help him, they didn't do what they needed to do.
Especially because you don't even know what the injury is.
Right.
Right.
You don't even know what the injury is yet, but you're like, you know what? Go
Exactly.
sit down. Go
Like they needed
sit
to
up,
assess him.
sit down. It's ridiculous.
so that was faulty on their part as well.
Well, and then, so, all weekend I've been doing my first aid training. And I think you're doing it right now.
I am.
On that first aid training, it says if someone is hit in the head or you suspect a head injury, that you are not supposed to move them. And that you're supposed to do certain things to make sure that you kind of contain or stop them from moving, because things could get worse, right? And so I have a hard time with the fact that they're saying, well, first they said that you had some issue breathing, right? And I'm gonna bring your dad in because I want to know, Kwame, I want to know kind of when, because they did not call you. Can we just clear that up right now? Were you called?
No, they never contacted me at all.
And you are the custodial parent, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so they did not call the custodial parent. That's a problem. And then when they didn't call you, you called the school. What happened when you called the school?
Well, I called the school and it was actually a student. That answered the phone. And then when I literally told the student to get an adult on the phone, and he wanted to sit up there and argue with me and try to make it seem like, oh, people are busy and this and that. And I had to use all my power to sit up there and really curse this little boy out. But look, you better get an adult on the phone like ASAP. I'm trying to find out what's going on with my son right now. So finally somebody gets on the phone, and when they get on the phone, they're like, I'm trying to find out the status of my son, and they're like, who is this? And I'm like, and that's when I kind of just lost it. I was like, man, look, like my son was just assaulted. You guys didn't call me. You guys didn't say anything. I had to find out, from somebody else what's going on.
Pause for me. How did you find out what happened to your son?
Well, me and my other son were in our garage working on some jobs, and he got a phone call from his friend at the school, and like I had just ordered us lunch, so we're literally about to eat, and I can see his facial expression is like changing, like his whole, we were in there laughing and joking, and then when he gets the phone call and he starts listening to the call, his whole mood changed, and I'm like kind of like what's wrong, like, and then he got off the phone. He was like, we got to get to the school like right now. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, KJ was just hit in the head with a fire extinguisher. And I was like, what? And we jump up and we leave out the house. And as I'm racing to the school, that's when I placed the call and stuff like that. And then on top of that, while I'm on one of my phones talking to the people at the school, like my other phone is ringing off the hook, and it's an ex-girlfriend that I haven't even talked to in years that's literally calling me and telling me, you know, I need to hurry up and get to the school because something happened to my son. You know,
And so the person who called your phone was someone who was at the school, a child at the school?
That called my phone?
I'm sorry, that called your son. It was a child who called your son.
It was a child that called him.
And said that something happened to KJ.
Yes.
So when you called the school, nobody told you that?
No. Nobody said anything. Everybody kept kind of just pushing it around and oh, let me get you to somebody. Let me get this. Let me get that. And then by the time somebody got on the phone and started, you know, even kind of lightweight talking about the situation, they're literally trying to almost sit up there and tell me that, oh, everything is fine. KJ is, you know, KJ was just having some breathing issues and passed out. And I'm like, passed out? Like, I heard that he was hitting his head, you know, and then there's silence on the phone.
So,
you know
so you were told that he passed out. He had breathing issues and passed out. They never told you that he was hitting the head.
No. And that's the problem. That's the same thing. That's the same thing that they told the first responders in the fire department and the EMT people as well as the sheriff. That's what they told them. That's why there was no real severity to the situation on their part, because they were given the misinformation.
That is
how do you
crazy.
give that much misinformation? I'm confused.
That's what we wanted to know.
Misinformation. That's a lie. Like that he
They're
could have been
withholding information, right?
if they hadn't seen that video, he would have gone home. Probably something wrong with his brain. He would have gone home. Oh yeah, he just passed out. That like it could have gotten worse. It could have gotten so much worse because people want to hold information for what?
And then lying to the victim's parent
And the emergent.
So when you now full disclosure, we were on the phone at some point because you called me on the way to the school.
Yeah.
We were on the phone. I want to say your other son got a copy of the video that had been
Actually, no, let me take that back. I had when I called you, I actually I had already been to the school. Already been to the school and I picked him up to take him to the hospital. So mind you, when I was on the school,
pause. Why did you take him to the hospital?
Because my thing was I don't care what the hell the people said to me about anything. My thing is I know what I was told that happened to my son, and my thing was to get my son checked out. Period. That was it, and that's all. So
yeah. So I see Melissa's mouth is moving, and Jada is trying to jump in here. Melissa, why the confused face?
Wait, you have to take him to the hospital. So what about the first responders?
They
lied to.
They sent the ambulance away. They sent the ambulance away because the fire department guy, he said that like I called his mom because again nobody had been told anything. I called KJ's mom and I was like, hurry up and get to the school. She said, I'm almost already there. She said that her cousin in Texas is the one that called her and told her about what happened. So when
it was already on social media.
And all of this was being informed to everybody else except the custodial parent.
Yeah.
Right.
We got people from Texas hearing about it before the custodial parent.
And the first responders were lied to. So people in Texas knew about it before the people assessing the victim knew what really happened.
Is that illegal to lie to first responders? Like, isn't that an illegal? Like, is that not illegal? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. To lie
illegal.
Samuel has his hand up. Go ahead, Sam.
It's along the line of negligence because you are endangering somebody in your care and in your guardianship. You are a place of safe haven, quote unquote, for children. That is also child endangerment. So, you know.
And I know for a fact that the sheriff's department was told that he was having breathing issues, and that he passed out. I know for a fact because I verified that.
Yeah, and that's what they told us, and that's what the sheriff told us at the hospital,
mm-hmm.
And then went from there. But when I called his mom, like I'm like enraged at this point, and I guess one of the fire people grabbed grabbed her phone and started talking to me. And he said, "Mr. Curry, just calm down." He said, "We've looked over your son, and it doesn't look like he's too injured. So we felt
It doesn't look like he's too injured.
Yeah.
Are you a doctor?
He said, we feel comfortable to send the ambulance away." And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I said, my son was hit in the head with a fire extinguisher. And he was like, what? Like he didn't even know that. Like he was confused. He was like, what? And I was like, don't even worry about it. I said, I'm here now. I'm pulling in right now. And I went in, and I had my choice words with a lot of the people that was there and stuff like that, because again, they kept on talking about, that, it wasn't too serious and all of that stuff like that. And that pissed me off. So my thing at that point was to get my son and get him checked out. Because I walked over to him. He was in the daze. He didn't know too much of what was going on, all of that stuff. And I'm confronting people and then trying to, take care of him at the same time. So I had his mom go around to the front of the school next door to get my daughter out so I can pick my daughter up. Unfortunately, it was her birthday. So we got her. I had my son in the car. We got her, and then I left. And then that's when I called you, when I was on my way to the hospital to take him to the hospital. So about right after I hung up with you, I got a phone call. Not a phone call.
No, you was on the phone with me, and a video came through.
Oh, yeah.
And then he hung up on me.
While I was on the phone,
hello?
While I was on the phone, my 18-year-old son in the back started screaming and stuff like that. And he was like, take me back to the school. And I was like, what's wrong? And he was like, he started cursing. He was like, these mother beep, 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 look what they did to KJ. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he showed me his phone, because at this point, the video started circulating on social media. And I seen the video, and I literally like, I lost it. Like at this point, like I had to apologize to my son because I'm transporting him to the hospital. But I was so enraged at this point because of the graphic nature of that video that I made a U-turn and went back to the school. Like I went back to the school, and I was, I'm just glad that nobody was, that the person had already been arrested and all of that stuff like that, because and their family and stuff wasn't there, because I was so enraged at what I seen with that video that I couldn't even, I for a minute or two, like I couldn't even catch my breath. I was so disturbed with that situation. So
yeah, and I have my own theories as to why they didn't call you.
Yeah,
you're a big old black dude. They know that you probably, had you known the truth, you probably would have flipped some tables and desks and chairs. I just, when we went to the school the next morning, because I was with you guys at the hospital, and we did a couple things there. But when we got to the school the next morning, I thought it was very, very interesting, because we were told at that point that they knew the whole time that he had been hit in the head with a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Even though the previous day, talking to law enforcement, the story they were given was that he was having a trouble breathing and he passed out.
Yeah.
And so again, Sam, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you, because I think that sometimes we have to have conversations about negligence. There were so many missteps to me. First of all, not calling the custodial parent. Number two, not relaying accurate and timely information. If in fact KJ was not so husky, he may have those may have been fatal blows. And so what responsibility do you all think that the school, the administration has to this family? Samuel.
I think that they are owed a considerable apology, but that's not just it. We need compensation. This is happening, and this is serious negligence by the school and the administrators, everybody involved. You don't tell law enforcement and EMS. You don't tell anybody, the parents. Only people that know about what actually happened are the students that were there, which is ridiculous. And of course the administrators. That's ridiculous that you don't even tell the EMS what happened to him. That could have killed him.
Right.
Realistically, that could have killed him. And you're blowing it off, and you're saying he just passed out. He had trouble breathing. Say it, because you are endangering his life if you don't.
And the
And what's so crazy is the first thing when I got him to the hospital, the first thing that they did, like when they asked what happened and stuff, and like I showed the doctor the video of what happened and stuff like that, and they wasted no time to get him in the back, brace his neck up, all of this other kind of stuff, and started doing scans and stuff like that. And the doctor was even disgusted, because the doctor was like, why was he not transported here? Why was he even moved? Like this could have been, like, based on what he said, this could have been way worse than what it was. And the simple fact, like you brought up, if he wasn't the size that he would have, it could have even been way worse than that. But they were baffled at the fact that the ambulance did not bring him in.
I'm baffled. The question in the chat says, so who falsified the statement to the police? My understanding is that there were multiple adults on multiple phones giving information to first responders, law enforcement, etc. I'm not sure where the wires got crossed, and nobody is taking responsibility for who said what to whom. And so your guess is as good as mine, which one of the boneheads actually gave the false information.
Here goes my thing real quick with that. If you remember, when we were at the hospital and the sheriff was in the hospital with us, he clearly stated what they said.
You're right.
He clearly stated that they gave him this information, and hence the reason why they did not have the like take it as seriously as they were supposed to, because of the simple fact of the information that they was given. What's funny is that when we went back the next morning, like, what did the other officer do? Not the officer that talked to us at the hospital, but the other officer tried to make it seem like, and try to cover up from the school, like, oh, well, you know that game, you could tell one person, and by the time it gets to the end,
he called it telephone.
Yeah. It could be a different story or whatever the case may be. So he was doing what he was trying to cover up stuff from the school, and that didn't even make any sense to me, like, at all.
But how does the story get messed up that, like, scrambled up that bad? So he was assaulted, he was knocked out by a fire extinguisher, he passed out just on his own.
He just had breathing
because
problems.
they said they didn't see what happened to him.
But
they didn't see what happened, but they can speak on it.
But everybody around
That's what
school
they
was
said.
talking. Every single student had the story in their mouth. How did they not hear?
Said they didn't see what happened. That's why they thought he just had a trouble breathing, and he passed out.
But they did, because one of the security guards up there that I know personally, he literally pulled me to the side, because he was the one that grabbed the boy and took him out of there immediately when that happened. So they knew, and they detained him immediately.
They be lying.
You know what I mean? The security, he told me that. He gave me the information. He was like, he literally damn near cried on my shoulder and was like, I'm so sorry I did not move a minute sooner. I'm sorry I didn't move a minute sooner. He said, because we didn't think nothing of it because everybody is just walking in with book bags, and then all of a sudden I turn around and your son is on the floor and all of that stuff, and the first thing I did was grab the boy and left out of there, you know. So that was that. So they already knew what happened. But I don't know why they want to sit up there and play the role like, oh, this was just, you know, whatever, you know. So what they don't want bad publicity at their school of another incident happening? Like,
Too late.
Actually made it worse. They don't want bad publicity, but they did the one thing that can make it worse
Right,
is
lying.
lie.
When the evidence is right there for the entire world to see. You know how dumb you look?
And the worst part about it is, I bet you the administration seen the airdrop.
Probably.
They all
They
know
said
the
they
phone-
keep their phones on because of the airdrop.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
the teachers get everything.
they seen it, and for them to just sit up there and just say, "Oh, he passed out," that's like one extreme from just passing out to being assaulted and being knocked out. That's two totally different stories. Like,
exactly.
opposite spectrums.
Exactly. And one of the things that the police officer said was, like, when they had the boy detained in the front, they were waiting for his parents. They were waiting for his parents to come get him and stuff like that.
Oh, so they call his parents?
Yes, they called the boy's parents and stuff like that. But when the based on what the sheriff told me is that as soon as they seen the video, that they didn't wait for nobody. They just went and arrested the boy and charged him with attempted murder and assault, and that was that. And they arrested him on the spot.
So I'm just, I'm listening, and I just remember being in that room. Now, there was a time when, we're talking to all these people, all these, whether it be the police and the administrators, and there was this constant thing that they were doing where they were saying, well, we can't hold the school responsible because there's no way they could have prevented this. Right. And so, no, I'm just telling you what they told me.
Okay.
Right. I'm not saying it's the truth. That's just what I was told. And I'm just sitting here like, nope, nope, I don't buy it.
The teacher the staff should have been more attentive. Like, how do you just take a fire extinguisher off the wall and nobody notices
How
anything?
do you miss a giant bright red safety
it was in the
hazard tool?
It was in the backpack.
Yeah, but how did they even get
How did they
that?
miss it from the case? Like, you walk past
It's not
that
a
in
case.
the
Not in
gym.
the case.
Isn't it in that thing that you?
No,
It's not in the
It's
case.
just like hooked onto the
Yeah, it's on the hook.
But even here's my thing. Like, even if you say you can't prevent it, fine. But then that's not fine. But like, okay, you can't prevent it, then do something after it's happening. Like, you say you can't prevent it, and then you're just slacking off. You can't prevent it. It happened. Now what? Like, if you can't prevent it, know something's gonna happen. And now that something happened, what are you doing? You're lying to the parents. You're like, and in the situation with parents being called for the other child and not for the victim, it's all backwards. Law enforcement was lied to about the victim, but then I don't know, it's all backwards. And if you can't prevent it, then you need to know that something's going to happen, because clearly you're not doing enough to prevent it. If you are saying you can't prevent it, then do something about it after it happens.
And I'm not trying to blame them for not preventing it, but what steps did you take afterwards? Like, congratulations, you couldn't have prevented it. What do we do now? And y'all just looking at me like a deer in headlights.
The fire extinguishers are set up the same way.
What do you mean? Oh, still with the latch?
Yeah, I can easily go and take it off. And they have to do that. I think they have to do that for safety, for like quickness. So, if there's an emergency, just hurry up and take it off. But they haven't changed, from my perspective, they haven't changed any protocols. It's still very easy to go out and potentially do the exact same thing that happened.
And so do you guys ever wonder about the likelihood of copycats?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because it kind of became a meme, like sending the fire extinguishers and text messages, basically like, watch out, don't, like a threat, like, if you mess with me, this is what's going to happen. This is what I'm going to do to you.
Like, when you see this, no, I'm about to come knock you upside your head.
Right.
Like, oh.
So KJ, how are you today? How are you today?
Well, I went back to school today for like the first time in
How was that?
weeks, and just going back to school, I kind of like got a really big headache, like just trying to get back into everything. And like just even doing work and looking at my Chromebook and all that stuff, like it completely hurt my head. So I
Mm.
went home early, and yeah, I kind of just took some Tylenol when I got back home, and then just kind of been relaxing.
So, you said that you were looking at the Chromebook and you started to get a headache. So, Dad, are you asking the school about modifications or accommodations, like maybe a 504 or
Yeah,
something
so
like that?
we have that with the new school. I've already met with the principal, the counselor, all of that kind of stuff like that, and so we're gonna do the that 504 program and stuff like that. But they want to do what they want to do is they want to give it like 2 weeks, so they can kind of like assess him and stuff
Mhm.
like that and see how he does, for the 2 weeks and stuff like that, so they can kind of grasp the everything that they're trying to, everything that they're going to do to, with the program and help him and stuff like that, which I'm cool with. I mean, the new school, they've been real cool and accommodating, for everything that's been going on and stuff like that, and trying to be as helpful as they can to, receive him and then pretty much go from there. But I also told him to take it day by day because, truthfully, like over the last, because this is what the fifth week, damn near. Um, this is like the first time that he's really had to, try to focus, concentrate on stuff, all of that kind of stuff, and then go from there. Like, I know we've been having him relaxing. We've been, having doctor's appointments, this and that. He started his physical therapy like twice a week, all of that stuff like that. So he's had a lot of stuff going on, but he hasn't had to, quote unquote, use his brain as much. Not saying he doesn't use his brain.
You use your brain, KJ. I know what Dad meant.
He hasn't had to try to like really focus and concentrate on stuff in the past few weeks. So we're just I told him it's going to take one step at a time and stuff like that. And they gave him like some kind of pass thing. If he's not feeling good, if he's this and that, just show the pass, and then he's able to leave and go. And
That's great.
The one
The one thing I would ask of you, Dad, is that you have us accompany you to those 504s so we
okay,
can make sure we hold them accountable for the accommodations and make sure he has the right accommodations in place.
okay.
Jalen, I see that you're jumping in. Melissa, I think I saw you. Were you trying to jump in too? And then Samuel, I saw you too. So let me go to Jalen and then we'll go to you guys.
the one thing I did want to say before the podcast ended is when you said when earlier Lorene asked how are you feeling, and you were like, oh, I didn't look at the social media and all the stuff. That I wanted to commend you for that, because it takes a strong person to be able to do that, to be able to go through something so traumatic and then not care about anything that social media says. Because nowadays you look on social media, you see something bad about you, that's all you're thinking about for the next couple weeks. You're like, how do I change this? How do I change that? Why am I perceived this way? Why do they look at me like this? But for you to just be like, no, you know what? It happened. You know what? I'm just gonna leave that in the past. It was what it was. I know what part I played in it, and don't care what people perceive me as. That takes a strong person.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Melissa, did you have something you wanted to
Yeah,
add
I
on?
wanted to say I wanted to say two things. One, something that was said earlier about I think the security guard who pulled the other kid away from the situation. I just think it's really interesting how the people who tried to do right in the situation, like that one staff member, are feeling bad, while the adults who did badly are seeming like they're not feeling anything. I just thought that connection was interesting. Second thing I wanted to say is I'm really sorry that this happened to you, and that the people who you are on campus with, they should be there to protect you. And it's clear that they weren't. And I'm really sorry for that. I know how that feels. And that's why I'm homeschooled. I know how that feels. So I understand, and I'm really sorry that that happened to you, and I really wish I could give you a hug.
Aw. Samuel?
There's also two things I want to say. But first thing, I've had a concussion, and it's not fun with lights when it happens. It's not fun with lights. It's like Every light you go past, ah, my head hurts. Ah, I can't focus. Ah, I can't think. Ah, my eyes are burning. So, I'll recommend for school, maybe get some like specialized sunglasses. That's what I got for my concussion to help me focus from the lights
Oh,
and
he
to
said he
help.
got him.
You see the
He
glasses,
said he got
Sam?
him.
You see them?
He said he got him.
Hey, let's go.
I had to use these myself because I work on computers all the time. So
Those are blue lights, the blue light
yeah,
glasses. Yeah, I got those.
yeah. So these actually help me a lot. So I'm actually going to give them to him and let him see how that works, because that stuff, people think that stuff ain't real. That stuff is real,
Oh, no, it's
especially
bad.
computers and all of that stuff.
It's bad.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go
Samuel,
ahead.
you got one more thing you want to say? Because I want to get to something that Jalen said, but go ahead, Sam.
So, KJ, how were you feeling after you were cognizant of everything that happened? You knew all the details of what happened to you. How are you feeling after that?
At first, I wasn't really thinking about it until like I really started going on my phone and I'm seeing like people texting me, asking if I'm okay, all that stuff, and I'm just like, I don't want to like leave people like undelivered or anything, but like just having to go through a whole bunch of messages and all that stuff, and people asking what happened, and all that stuff, like
And
I wasn't really trying to go through all of it, and then just knowing what happened, or like people talking about it and stuff, like it did kind of make me mad and everything, but like the more I was able to talk about it and all that stuff, it's like felt like those other people who like feel the situation and just trying to help me get through it all the way, like just sitting here talking about it with you guys, like it helps with a lot, clears up a lot of stuff and all that.
And yeah, I don't want to put anything in your head, but I get it. But not going through all those messages, it can get really draining having to respond to people, especially when in that particular instance, you don't know if they're actually worried about you, if they're just trying to be nosy, to be like, oh, yo, I got an update. And so, I understand that. And I think that personally, you do what feels right for you and what you feel is best for your mental health. And making sure you put yourself first and taking care of yourself, because you are not a news story. You are not the star of a movie. This is your life, unfortunately. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that. And I hope that you feel supported over here at BYLP, because we got your back.
Yeah, and I want to add, like, you choosing not to respond to those messages, like, that's self-care.
Right.
So don't feel guilty about, oh, I didn't get back to everyone on their time. Something very traumatic just happened to you. That's taking care of yourself.
Right.
And so I know that you guys decided to kind of turn your attention into kind of like a new, I don't know if you call it a campaign, but I see Dad has the shirt on. Do you want to tell us about the shirt that you designed or co-designed, KJ? Or Dad? Do you want your daddy to say?
Well, me and my son, like one thing I've done with my kids, all of my kids and stuff like that, is we have no problem with talking and communicating, opening up and stuff like that. So I know that this situation was going to be really hard on him and stuff like that, and staying in constant contact with him in regards to the situation. Kind of he opened up about a lot of things. So one of the things we did, we actually sat on the stairs for about an hour or so, and we were just talking about a lot of things, about the incident, about forgiveness, about God, about this, about that, all of that kind of stuff like that. And then like one of the things that came up was like, we can, when situations happen, to people, especially in our community, when situations happen and somebody is hurt and stuff like that, the first thing that we think about is retaliation. The first thing we think about is wanting to get somebody back and stuff like that. And a lot of times in situations like that, that creates that creates more good than bad, you know. So what we came up with, and when we were sitting here talking, I think, you know, one of the things that was said, and I forgot who said it, but it was like, you know, in a situation like that, you just have to look at it sometimes that love is greater than hate, and you just have to handle stuff, you know, you have to handle stuff like that. And then we were like, oh snap, that's a shirt, like that's something that we could, you know, we could do. So we actually, you know, sat back and kind of came up with the, you know, love is greater than hate thing or whatever. And our message for that is to break the narrative in the Black community that, you know, when somebody hurts you, you have to sit up there and respond with hurt. You have to respond with hate. Mm-hmm. And our thing is to, you know, is to show love than hate and just handle it a different way. Because I know you've heard that saying before, that hurt people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so our thing is, you know, yes, we're hurt. Yes, we're dealing with this, but you know, we're worried about bigger and better things and just moving forward. And in order for us to move forward and successfully and positively and everything, is that we have to, you know, think about our actions and then move forward. There's a lot that we can sit up there and do if we wanted to, but at the same time, you know, our thing is let's move forward and you know, brush ourselves off and go from there. So that's what we came with.
Awesome, because I'm still waiting for my shirt. Every time I see you, you say I got you, but the crew wants theirs too. So we'll be expecting our shirts soon.
Yeah.
Okay, just take.
How about that? Yeah.
Yeah, send me my sizes.
Yeah, I'll send you my size.
And so, I mean, I think that it's so beautiful. One, I gotta just give you your props, because there always seems to be this narrative that Black fathers are not around. And you are the exact opposite of that stereotype, because I get to see you in action all the time, but everybody else doesn't. And so I want to commend you for getting on top of that, for being about your business and about the business of your son, and for holding people accountable. Because I think that they expected you to come in and lose your cool, and to give them a reason to kind of do something to you, to justify their inaction. And so I just want to commend you for being such an amazing father. When I look at KJ, first of all, he's a spitting image of you. And I look at how he is, even with everything. I heard that. Even when everything has happened to him, he still walked around here with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
And I thought that was huge, KJ, that you were still able to find things to smile about, even when you were in pain, because you were in here, you were sitting up against the wall, even trying to sit still and sit up straight. That was a struggle for you. And I know people don't see that all the time, but there are real consequences to these actions that are happening on campus. And real quickly, Kwame, you actually know the mother of the other young person that harmed your son. Is that correct?
Yeah, I found out later. She actually contacted me. A few weeks ago.
And so it's kind of like 6 degrees of separation here in Sacramento and in the Black community. Everybody knows somebody. And so as adults in this situation, instead of trying to help our young people escape accountability, we have to be the grown-ups here and make sure that we are not kind of egging on a situation that could have been prevented, and we're not giving an excuse to people who commit wrong actions. And that has to be a conversation that we have within our community. Outside of our community, and how, you know, we move over here in terms of advocacy, is somebody dropped the ball somewhere and we're going to find out who. And once we find out who, we're going to hold you accountable. There's no more, oh, well, it was a mistake. That mistake could have been fatal. And because you didn't think enough, I want you to treat Black children like they're your children. If your child was hit in the head with something, you would have got them to someplace in an ambulance. That's what we want. We want the same type of treatment for our children when they are harmed within these institutions, period. That's what we want, and that's the expectation. So listen, y'all, we have run out of time for today. As usual, good job. I love the energy that you guys are bringing. Bring me some more next week. How about that? Next week, we will be sitting down with Professor Ernest Krim, who is really huge on social media. I think it's TikTok. We've used a few of his videos here, and we are going to have him here live and in person. Well, not in the studio, virtually. And we're going to have a great discussion. So you guys make sure you do your research on that. You come with some questions and we keep him engaged. Yes. Before we get out of here, I have to give a shout out to school board member Denzel Perry down in Compton. Councilman Andre Spicer, school board member Micah Ali, the Kaylin for real. We were at the 2 for Real Day. Boy, stop it. We were at the 2 for Real Day down in Compton yesterday. We enjoyed ourselves, and we promise we will be back. You can't do nothing if you're not building relationships, and so we are being very intentional about cultivating spaces and making sure Black children have outlets where they are. At the beginning of this podcast, you heard about our media program. We are looking for you. If you are a student, a young adult in this area or beyond, and you want to be a guest on the podcast, a co-host, or you want to learn about writing newspaper articles or broadcast media, this is the place for you. Visit our website for more details, www.bylp.org. BBSN and BGSN are on tonight at 6, so make sure you connect there. Hack the Woods is coming up November 4th through 6th. So if you want to know more about what BYLP has in store for the community, you know where to go. Make sure you connect and really find out why we are indeed a whole mood. We're going to hit y'all with that wave. We're going to hit y'all with that wave. We'll see you next week right here on Facebook and YouTube at 4:30. We'll see y'all later. Oh, my bad. Y'all ready? We're going to hit you with the wave. You ready? Go, Jada.
Yeah.
Okay, go, Melissa. Yeah. Sam. Hey, there you go. We'll see y'all next